In this video, we're talking about the best laptops for After Effects, whether you're just getting started on a budget or you have quite a bit more to spend. I have hands-on experience with 80% of these laptops, so you're gonna get benchmarks and my real-world experience on what these laptops are capable of in After Effects. So let's dive right into it. First and foremost, you're gonna see these laptops in ascending order from the most budget-friendly for After Effects to the more high-end premium laptops. Like I said, hands-on experience with 80% of these laptops, and stay till the end because we're gonna have benchmark test results, thermal temps, and discussions regarding the specs. Now, keep in mind, if you're curious about the exact pricing or availability of any of these laptops, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. Now, if you do use that link, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you, and that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way, so I always appreciate it when y'all use those links. Now remember, these are my top picks, so you're welcome to comment below. Let me know what laptop you're considering and ask for feedback, and I'd be happy to give you feedback there. Now, another thing I want to point out is that the laptops that I am looking at from entry level, I would upgrade these laptops to 16 gigs of RAM. In fact, personally, I would be most confident with a 32 gig laptop, as some laptops will not even run the fundamental benchmarks and functions with only 16 gigs of RAM. So I caution you with running After Effects with 16 gigs of RAM, and I am extremely confident with 32 to 64. I do not recommend 8 gigs, but I do recommend these laptops coming up to be purchased then upgraded to 16 gigs of RAM. Now, a lot of people may say that you can run After Effects with 8 gigs of RAM, and I think that it is possible and you could get some performance out of it. But if you want to get the most out of your computer, I recommend 16 to 32 gigs of RAM. All right, starting things off is the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3. This laptop comes with the i5-10300H with 2.5 base clock and 4.5 turbo clock with 4 cores and 8 threads. And it has the GTX 1650 GPU from NVIDIA. Now this one does come with 8 gigs of RAM, as I've said, and I would upgrade this to 16 as soon as your budget allows. It also comes with a 15.6-inch Full HD display with a 56% sRGB and 36% Adobe RGB. Now, what you're going to see in these more budget-friendly models, and yes, budget-friendly is around $800 for a After Effects laptop, in my opinion, as you are going to need that dedicated GPU. There are laptops without dedicated GPUs, like, for instance, the Swift 3 from Acer or the Spin 5, that are going to be able to run a test if you have 16 gigs of RAM, but you're just not going to get optimal performance out of After Effects with those non-dedicated GPUs. So yes, there is options available for cheaper, but like I said, this is my recommendations, and so for these recommendations, I want to see dedicated GPUs in After Effects. Moving forward with the MSI GF75, this laptop comes with the i5-10300H, 4 cores and 8 threads, the GTX 1650, and it has a 17.3-inch screen with 89% sRGB and 58% Adobe RGB. Now, as you see, there is a better color accuracy on this screen, but do note that if you're going to consider the GF65, make sure you check the screen color gamut range. A lot of laptop manufacturers don't put the same screens on different model variants. So that's very important to consider. And what you'll notice is these more budget-friendly models will have lower color gamut range because that's one way that they're able to cut costs and keep the prices down, is put on a lower quality screen. Next up on the list is the Acer Nitro 5. This laptop comes in a variety of configurations, one Ryzen and one Intel. You have the Intel Ryzen 5 4600H or the Intel Core i5-10300H. Now, a lot of people ask me what I would recommend. Personally, if you're going to be multitasking, I would recommend the Ryzen 5 4600H as it has more cores and more threads. Again, I recommend this one with 16 gigs of RAM, and it has a color gamut range of 57% sRGB and 36% Adobe RGB. Oh, I just noticed a typo here. So make sure that you know that this is 15.6-inch screen, not a 16-inch screen. Moving on, the Lenovo Legion models. So there's a variety of options here from Lenovo. You can get the Lenovo Legion 5 with the Ryzen 5 4600H, the Lenovo Legion Y540 with the i7 9750. You can also get the Legion 5i, which I don't have listed here, but I can list it in the description below. And that one is the Intel 10750H. And then also you get the Legion 5 with a Ryzen 7 4800H. I would recommend either the Legion 5i with the i7 10750 or the Legion 5 with the Ryzen 7 4800H. These are great performing laptops, very good price point. And then I would upgrade this to 16 gigs of RAM as soon as possible, and you'll be good to go. Now, the laptop I tested in the studio, which I have a full review of, is the I version. So it's the Intel version, and it had a 62% sRGB, 46% Adobe RGB, and 46% DCI-P3. But you can get this laptop in a better color accuracy by upgrading the Hertz to 144 Hertz. So do your research if you want a color accurate laptop, and make sure that you get the right spec out. Next up is the HP Pavilion Gaming. This laptop comes with either the i5 10300H or the i7 10750 and the GTX 1660 Ti Max Q or the GTX 1660 Ti standard variant. This is going to be a little more powerful as far as GPU is concerned. This is going to be a little more powerful as far as CPU is concerned. Moving forward, we have the HP Omen 15, one of my recent most favorite laptops. It has great color accuracy, it runs cool and quiet, just a great all-around laptop for After Effects. I have done a hands-on review and compared it with multiple laptops, and you can check that out over on the channel, or I might link it in the YouTube cards above. This laptop comes with the Ryzen 7 4800H, with 2.9 gigahertz on the base clock, 4.2 on the turbo, and it has 8 cores and 16 threads. Comes in at around $1,300. As you all know, I can't declare the exact pricing because pricing does change and fluctuate. So if you're curious about the exact live pricing, you can head down in the description below and click those affiliate links. Now, it comes with the GTX 1660 Ti, 16 gigs of RAM, and 97% sRGB and 71% Adobe RGB with the 144 Hertz screen variant. The Asus Zephyrus G14, one of my favorite thin and light laptops for After Effects. This is an all-aluminum chassis, and it comes with the Ryzen 7 4800H or the Ryzen 9 4900HS. Two great setups. Personally, for After Effects, I would lean towards the Ryzen 9 setup because it comes with the RTX 2060 Max Q, going to give you better performance from the GPU inside of After Effects. Definitely make sure this has 16 gigs or 32 gigs of RAM, and you're going to have a color gamut range of 91% sRGB and 60% Adobe RGB. The Gigabyte Aero 15, one of my favorite best of show laptops from CES 2020, just because of the diversity and the quality of this laptop. So it has 100% sRGB and 100% Adobe RGB Pantone validated screen. You can get it in either a full HD or a 4K OLED touch display. And the Performance Edition and the base model are two variants, both performing very well. The base model has the i7 10750H, 6 cores, 12 threads, and the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2060, whereas the Performance Edition has the i9 10980HK with the NVIDIA RTX 2080 Supermax Q, 32 gigs of RAM. This model here is going to dominate, no doubt, but this model here is also a great contender for After Effects. Moving on to the Acer Predator Helios 300, a best-selling laptop on my channel for the past 2 years in a row. This laptop really has a lot to offer in a mid-range budget. So it comes with the i7 10750, 6 cores, 12 threads, the RTX 2060 from NVIDIA, 32 gigs of RAM, and for a gaming laptop has really solid color accuracy at 97% sRGB and 77% Adobe RGB. The reason this laptop has sold so well is because up until this point, this was a big contender in the mid-range price point. But now we're seeing laptops like the Gigabyte Aero, the HP Omen, and the Asus Zephyrus G14. So we're starting to get some more competition here, but this was the premier mid-range budget laptop on my channel for quite a while. Moving forward, we have the Asus ROG Strix G17. This, to me, is the best price to performance opportunity on this entire list. So this laptop comes with the i7 10750H, the RTX 2070 with 8 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM. It's configurable up to 64 gigs of RAM. That's the model I reviewed, but the model I'll list in the description below will most likely be the 32 gig variant, and it comes with 2 terabytes of solid state hard drive, 17.3-inch screen, and 98% sRGB and 75% Adobe RGB. So you're going to get a big screen, you're going to get a powerful GPU, you're going to get a solid CPU, you're going to get a lot of RAM as well as a pretty big SSD. So this is a great price to performance deal. It's going to be around $1,800 or so, $1,800 to $1,900, depending on when you purchase this laptop. Like I said, you'll have to check the description below. But I like this laptop a lot. I've had full hands-on review with it, and it's a very nice laptop. All right, moving forward onto the Dell XPS 1590-500. This laptop is for somebody who wants a great on-the-go, well-built laptop. It is not the premier performance laptop, though it does have a solid setup with the i7-10750 and GTX 1650 Ti, as well as 100% sRGB and 100% Adobe RGB. But we're not pushing huge things with this GPU. This is more of a, I don't want to say lower end, but it's just not the top performance. I would look for something more like a 1660 Ti or a RTX 2060 or 2060 Max Q. So this is still going to be good, but it's not going to be like blowing you out of the water. And then it comes with 16 gigs of RAM, and it's a 15.6-inch 4K display. Moving forward, the Asus ZenBook Pro Duo. This is one of those niche laptops that has an awesome workflow because you have the dual screen setup. So you're going to have a 14-inch screen, if I'm not mistaken, down here at the bottom, and then a 15.6-inch screen up here at the top. And by 14 inches, I believe that's the cross, so like crossing the screen. All right, now you're going to have on the i7-9750H. I believe this one's also available now in the i7-10750H, and if it is, I will link that in the description below. But the model I reviewed had the i7-9750. It comes with the RTX 2060, 16 gigs of RAM, the 512 gig solid state hard drive, a 4K display, and 81% sRGB and 62% Adobe RGB. Moving forward with the Asus ProArt StudioBook Pro 17, this is a laptop that's built specifically for creative professionals. So it's going to have the Quadro RTX 3000 GPU. It's going to come with the i7-9750H, 64 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of solid state storage, and 17.3-inch screen that reaches 100% sRGB, 89% Adobe RGB, and 100% DCI-P3. So great for creative professionals, has everything you need, and has a GPU that's optimized for work in programs like 3D modeling, After Effects, and the like. Next up is the Acer ConceptD 7, another laptop that's built specifically for creative professionals. It's an all-aluminum design, coming with the i7-9750H, the RTX Quadro 3000, 32 gigs of RAM, a 4K Ultra HD IPS display, and 100% sRGB, 100% Adobe RGB, and 100% DCI-P3, all Pantone validated. And no review would be complete without the MacBook Pro 16. Now, this isn't the end of the video, but this is the MacBook Pro 16 for all my Mac fans, and this is going to be the upgraded version. So I'm recommending that you don't go with the base model, simply for the fact of wanting to get the most performance out of this laptop. You're going to want to put the i9-9880H in this laptop with 8 gigs of VRAM inside of the Radeon Pro 5500M, 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of solid state storage, a 16-inch Full HD display, which is the Retina, so it's like 2.5K, something like that. And then you have then you have 100% sRGB and 100% Adobe RGB. Moving on to the Razer Blade lineup, you have the Razer Blade Advanced and the Razer Blade StudioBook 15. So we have an Advanced and Studio. Now what you're seeing here is the same processor. So you got the i7 10775H, and you have the RTX 2080 Super Max Q next to the Quadro RTX 5000, 16 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of DDR4 memory on the Studio Edition, 1 terabyte solid state drive, 1 terabyte solid state drive. This one has a full HD screen versus the 4K OLED touch display. And we're going to see 100% sRGB and 72% Adobe RGB over here. And we're going to see 94% sRGB and 60% Adobe RGB on this side. All right, so now into the questions of the video. These are the most common questions I get. So for instance, benchmark, test results, thermal temps, noise, and discussion regarding the spec. All right, let's jump right into the After Effects benchmark score. So as you see right here near the top of the list is that Acer ConceptD 7 with the i7-9750 and the RTX Quadro 3000, as well as the Asus TUF A15. This is a Ryzen 7 4800H. And this is that best all around I was talking about. So for around $1,900, you're going to end up around the top of most test results, especially when you get into 3D modeling, Photoshop, video editing. This laptop really dominates basically every test it's put into. We have the Asus Zephyrus G14, the best thin and light laptop that I've been able to take part in, and then the HP Omen, followed by the StudioBook ProArt on the list. So really good lineup. As you see here, this is the Acer Spin I was talking about. It does not have a dedicated GPU. It has an integrated GPU. This is the i7-1065 G7. And so it scores about half of the top performing laptops here. So it is doable in After Effects, but like I said, it is not a recommendation I make just because it doesn't perform at a level where you'll be just breezing through your edits and your designs. You'll probably end up with some lagginess, some drop frames, and it just won't be the smoothest experience inside of After Effects. Next is the After Effects render benchmark, and as you see here, leading off with the Asus ROG Strix G17, and then cascading down from there. Now, let's talk about the thermals. So that's something I mentioned we would discuss. The thermals are very important as your laptop is going to run hot or cool depending on the ability for its fan and vents and thermal component structure. So what we have here is the Asus Zephyrus G14 leading the top of the high performance pack. This is that Acer Spin 5 I was talking about. It ran pretty stinking hot inside of After Effects and Premiere Pro. But inside of After Effects, we see the Asus Zephyrus G14 taking the top of the chart with the hottest thermal temperatures, followed by the Asus ZenBook Pro Duo, the Asus TUF A15, which was not on my list, but I wanted to include that in case any of y'all were wondering. The Acer Predator Helios 300, followed by the Strix G17, Legion 5i, HP Omen, StudioBook. And that's why I'm saying this StudioBook is built for creative professionals. This laptop ran cool and quiet throughout all of the benchmark tests. I was very impressed with this laptop. I was running it around 45 to 50 decibels while exporting while working in After Effects, and it also ran at around 75 degrees Celsius. Whereas more of these laptops, for instance, something like G14, was up to around 62 decibels during a lot of the intensive workflow tasks. Okay, so not all CPUs are created equally. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because a lot of times I get people who comment on my videos and say, hey, I just found this great Ryzen 7 laptop. Is it going to be good for After Effects or Premiere Pro or 3D modeling? And I try and get a little more information because that's kind of a vague processor. A Ryzen 7 could be a Ryzen 7 2700U from 2 years ago, and that would not be a good After Effects choice. But if it's a Ryzen 7 4800H, well then, yeah, that would be a great After Effects choice. So make sure when you're looking at your laptops, you're looking at the SKU, you're understanding which one it performs and which one doesn't. For instance, that Ryzen 7 2700U would be dominated by the Ryzen 5 4600H that is now currently out. So you got to really know how you're purchasing your processor. Make sure you're not buying a U processor, but an H processor specifically when we're talking about After Effects, because you're just going to get peak performance out of it. Same thing for Intel. So you want to make sure you're getting an Intel i7 10750H versus a Intel i7, let's say like 8665U or something like that. Because it's just not going to perform well. It's not going to give you the peak performance you need, even if it is only $800 and it sounds like a great deal because it's an i7 processor. Well, not all processors are created equally. Next up is the GPU. The GPU is important because you're doing a lot of rendering. You're doing a lot of design as far as motion is concerned on the screen. So if something like Photoshop, it's very sterile images. It's not having to recreate things in motion. So the GPU is not important inside of Photoshop. But for After Effects, it is important. Now, why 16 gigs of RAM at a minimum? Well, for me, I've noticed when I'm running these tests, if a laptop doesn't have 16 gigs available, it will not run a lot of the benchmarking tests that put stress on the GPU, CPU, and RAM and show the computer's capabilities. So that's why I recommend 16 at a minimum, but I would go for 32 if your budget can allow. Storage, solid state versus hard disk. What is my recommendation? Solid state. Solid state has no moving parts. It's going to be far more reliable, and it also has faster read and write speeds. The thing with hard disk drives is they have a disk that spins and then an eye that reads and writes, and those parts tend to wear out over time, whereas you're going to see more reliability out of a solid state solid state drive. So moving forward here, I'm going to talk about my top 4 to 6 laptops that if I were going to make a purchase today, what I would get. First and foremost, in kind of the lower to mid-range budget, I would pick up the HP Omen 15. It is a great price point for solid color accuracy, a Ryzen 7 4800H, GTX 1660 Ti, good storage, so you really can't beat this laptop. Next is the Asus Zephyrus G14 if I want a thin and light aluminum laptop. The only problem with this laptop is it's going to run a little bit hot, so just buyer beware about the thermal temperatures. It's not going to hurt the performance. It still performs extremely well in all of my benchmark tests, but it will be a warmer laptop. The Acer Predator Helios 300. This is a great mid-range all-around laptop. It's one of my best sellers. I love the aluminum design. It's got great color accuracy, has the RTX 2060 GPU, and it comes with the i7-10750H. So a great Intel laptop with a solid GPU. The best price to performance is going to be the Asus ROG Strix G17. Love this laptop, big 17-inch laptop, good color accuracy. It's not going to be your on-the-go pal at all. It's a heavy, it comes in a little bit over, I think it's like 5.5 pounds roughly. Actually, no, I think it's 6. Yeah, it's about 6 pounds. So it's a heavy laptop, but if this is going to be a semi-portable workstation, man, great buy. The Asus ProArt StudioBook 17. This is going to be kind of a doppelganger, as they say, of the Strix G17. It's going to be a little bit thinner and lighter. It's going to be designed more specifically for creative professionals with the RTX Quadro 3000. And so this is a great pick as well. If you're curious about the exact prices or you're ready to make a purchase, you can head down in the description below and click one of those links. And I always appreciate you guys when you use those links because they don't cost anything extra to you, but it does help keep this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. If you want to know any more in-depth about any of these laptops, you can head on over to my channel, and I've done in-depth reviews of, like I said, 80% of these laptops, so you can get my full perspective on them. And then when you're ready to make a purchase, snag that affiliate link. I'm Benji Kaiser. Keep editing, keep designing, keep creating, and I'll see you here in the next video.